Welcome to an episode of the NRL Allstars podcast, the second last one of the season, round 26. Barnesy, your host here of the Allstars podcast for the week of carnage. Head-to-head grand final week. No, it is just a week of carnage. That's all it is. It is horrendous, the teams that have been named. I have Mikey back on board to talk about it. Mikey, welcome back. I'm sure that you wish that you said that I couldn't make it this week because it's that type of round.
Oh, it is, mate, but that's our job that we've given ourselves. We shout when it's good, we shout when it's bad, and all the in-between. But 1,400 for me last week. Claude with the captain Tedesco, so I'll take that as a win. I had Tom. I said I think Tom had a big game in him. I didn't think it was that big, but in all honesty, I'll be totally honest with you. If I had trades, I probably would have brought Douiehi in, or I probably would have looked to flick Tom to Walsh. And although Walsh scored well, like sometimes I guess having trades now, they helped me last round, but coming into this round, trades would be handy. I know we're on a short time today, but just a quick shout out to someone in our Cashy comp, Barnesy, the one you're running, Tristan. He's got through the grand final. And we mentioned it last week that I absolutely I chased another Cashy, stitched it up. And due to my bad luck and good luck for him, he's gone on and beat you, and I actually would have beat your score and ended up in the final. So, injury to wounds, but good luck, Tristan. Let's see if you can win it after the lifeline I handed you.
Well done, Tristan, because I'm in one Cashy now for the final because I had 1348. That included me using my final trade to get Adam Douiehi in. It also included me moving the VC off Tedesco and the C off Drinkwater, and just putting the straight C on Tedesco because for two Cashies, including a $500 one, I thought I had to do it. And the bloke I was up against in the $500 one, I did it like 5-10 minutes before, and a minute before kickoff, he moved it to Tedesco captain as well. If I could have moved it back in time, I would have. I missed it by about 30 seconds, and I scored terribly. So everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I have no trades, Mikey. I have 17 players this week, and I think there's other teams that are going to be worse off than me. So let's have a talk about it. As Mikey said, though, this is going to be a quick-fire 25-minute because few reasons. One, I don't have enough time to do a longer one. Two, we also only have really trade-ins to look at in each game. We don't have any trade-outs because if you can trade anyone out at the moment, you're going to do it because it's just for 2 weeks or 1 week if you're head-to-head. So let's go through game by game now. Before we do, always remember, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, but more importantly, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. And our great sponsor of the All-Stars podcast is onemorcorrect.com.au. When it says, where did you hear about us when you sign up today? Make sure you put in our All-Stars podcast. They will take great care of you with any of your shipping needs. Bulldogs and Panthers. Mikey, this is your team. We get to talk about them first. I hate the Panthers now. They are the worst team in the world in all of sport, and Ivan Cleary is a dead set arsehole. He has rested the entire team, and it has killed so many Supercoaches' dreams in a head-to-head grand final week.
Not me, Barnesy. It hasn't killed me. I only own Cleary, and as a Panthers fan, I'll take the win. But look, everyone already hates us. It's fine. I think he's a genius for doing it. Look, I bought tickets to the game. It's pretty crazy now. I'm going to watch New South Wales cut Panthers side. But at the same time, he's just, he's looking at it. He's going, we're not going to make the top 4. It makes sense from an NRL point of view. We're going to have to go and win the comp outside the top 4. We won the first teams to do that. So to do it, it makes sense. We've got a few guys who are a bit half injured. I think Edwards has made some shockers that didn't help us, try to win those games and instead lose them. So just rest them up, come back strong next week. And it's a better week to do it now. So then you get that one game before entering finals. I think it's important. I think a lot of these teams that can rest, you can clearly see that they prefer to do it now because they want to start running some cohesion next week. Look, the pros and cons here. I heard whispers that Burden could be out. Maybe there might be a late switch. After seeing the Panthers side, maybe we see some other dogs get rested. Because realistically, they can't make too much movement on the ladder themselves. So maybe they may rest a couple more stars after seeing that side. But I think Serrato's, being a lot around a lot of these guys that are going to make their debut this weekend, and he'll tell the dogs not to take them lightly. I guess maybe the only pro is Panthers New South Wales Cup side haven't been doing too bad, and all these guys play together. So it's not like you just strapped the team together. This team has been playing together. Obviously, the match in NRL experience in this is pretty crazy, and this could be a beat up by the Bulldogs, but don't be surprised if the Panthers show a little bit of heart. But if you got some Bulldogs players, you could target this one. Even if you had a trade left, maybe this is a game you could target 100%.
Oh, look, I like a few in this one. Like, if you have a look at, I've got Lachlan Galvin, who's obviously very low owned. There's going to be people that can bring him in, and at less than 500k, he's coming off a 75 plus point performance last week. We've seen him turn up in the Tigers jersey. He could turn up in this one. But the one that I'm most interested in is Jacob Carraz as a VC, a pod VC option where you get in on that first game. I don't mind that one either, because obviously Carraz has already gone 150 plus this year. And it just takes a couple of tries and his offload to get going for him to get towards that type of big score. And a lot of people are going to be able to loop really easily this week. So you've got to remember that if you're a team that's got a free crack at a loop, if he could turn up, that will probably be worth looping this week because it's so easy to do and you're going to end up with the same players anyway. So those are my two big takeaways out of that one. But you've got Carraz. If you've thought about the VC or against your team, you just don't want to look at it.
I don't want to know. I'll happily VC against my own team. I'll play Supercoach in my head, not my heart. But I don't think he'll be a pod VC. I think he'll now become the most popular VC. And the issue is, like, example in my side, I've got a lot of second rowers that, like, you know, Kane Bradley that I'm probably going to play this week because I don't want to play Lecker. But both those guys play second and third. So you've got to look at your side. So for me, I'm going to need to VC early because I still have a pretty strong side. I didn't say I've got 21 guys still, which I think is really good for this week. My only issue is because of my lack of depth in the second row. I've got to play one of Kane Bradley or Lecker Halasima. So I want to be able to take that guy out, not a guy like Jaden Campbell and stuff this week because I think the ceiling's quite huge. So, yeah, that probably might end me up on someone like Carraz. It'll just be interesting to see who they get to play left winger. As Paul Adamotti, if he is marking up against Carraz, he's pretty good defensively, and that is his old club. So that might not be as bad of a matchup as looks, but Carraz doesn't need much. Maybe if he's marking up against Jesse, then it might be a bit of a different story. But, yeah, I guess people like Jake and Preston, great play this week if you've got him. And, yeah, I even think Galvin is a sneaky VC, but I guess Carraz doesn't need to do too much. If he scores a double in this one, that's a loopable score. So I think if you are going to take a VC, that is your safest VC to take early.
All right. Well, this next game we don't have to spend as much time on because it is the Eels and the Warriors. And no offense, guys, but I'm not sure whether I'd want to VC any of these guys. I guess Zach Lomax has been on a downward spiral a little bit. He's had some lower scores the last month compared to what he was doing for the rest of the season. Some might want to have a look at him, but to me, it's more about the buys in this one. Parramatta were very impressive last week, Mikey. I'll be controversial though and say playing in New Zealand, I think, with New Zealand needing to win and playing at home, I don't think Parramatta will back that up. I don't think they'll bring that form into it. I think the Warriors will be too good. And because of that, I'll tell you the guy who I was almost going to trade in, it was between Adam Douiehi and one Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. And I went, I'm not going to do you, RTS, because Roger, you just don't have 100 plus in you anymore. And what did he do? He went bloody 110 plus. So he's now 620k. And I do think that he could score a double again this week. So I quite like him as a pot option, and he killed it last week as well.
Yeah, I guess just quickly, the last game we didn't touch on it. Kick-out's being rested, so that's another kick to the absolute. Unless there's a second
just don't want to
injury.
talk about that as a kick-out.
Yeah, I know, but we got him, mate. And then into the next one, yeah, I agree with you with RTS. I think he's a top target for this week to jump on. There are a couple of other options we'll speak about, but Lomax has been pretty crappy in defence and he's a target point. That wing's leaked a lot, so. RTS, you know, he showed he had a little bit of a ceiling, but he's got a good base too. So, you know, one try and you can look at about 80, which would be good this week. And I guess the key now, if you've got trades, that's awesome. The key for this week is trying to get 18 on the park and get the strongest that you can and do something a little bit different. So that's going to be the key this week.
I'll throw out there, there's teams that were much worse off than me last week that had Nathan Cleary and Sam Walker and now have no halfback. Now, obviously, Hines we're going to get to. You're going to really want Hines, but some only have one halfback and can buy a second one. If you're head-to-head, Nathan Cleary doesn't matter anymore because he's not playing this week and next week it's not going to matter for you. So if you're head-to-head only, you can even trade him. But big balls pod for this week. I said I don't think Parramatta will do that well, but Mitchell Moses, not goal kicking because Lomax is there anymore. But he still, I think, showed that he can have a heap of try assists. So I don't believe in it because I think the Warriors will win good. But if you believe in Parramatta competing and scoring a lot of tries and carrying on from last week, Mitchell Moses is a bit of a sneaky one there because he can attack pretty well in a winning team. I want to talk about the Storm and the Roosters a bit more, so let's just get onto it quickly. The Storm for this one have made some changes as well, mate. Can I just say that Eli Katoa out has absolutely killed me. I'm not a Harry Grant owner, but a lot of people are a Grant and Katoa owner. And a lot of people also own Nick Meaney because he went on that great run when Pappenhausen has been out. Can you believe Pappenhausen's actually playing, but we're resting some of these other guys as well? It is pretty big carnage this round, and the Storm haven't helped matters.
No, I did think that the Storm would rest a few blokes. I thought, realistically, in the end of the day, I think, Bellamy wants to win a comp. Like, I don't think they care too much. Like, yeah, they're a chance of coming first still, but I think they want to just kind of ease some of it and make sense. Like, Pappenhausen, I think they want him to find the form that he did earlier on, so they want to get a bit more fitness into him. And, yeah, I guess, when I heard, like, the Storm were going to rest, I actually thought maybe they rest Munster, but maybe the same thing. They want him to get a bit more match fit. But apart from that, I guess the guys that they're sitting out make sense. And this is an important game for the Roosters, so I guess it definitely helps your guys. But, from someone that, I personally have 3 Roosters, this is a matchup that I personally don't like to play 3 Roosters. This makes it a lot more appealing for them, and the matchup isn't as tough. Like, more so like, Crichton will now be running at Joe Chan, most likely. You've got guys like Tupou that will now be marked up against, one of Kane Bradley or Tumalatu Brown, who I think may be on debut, or he might only have 1 game if he hasn't debuted. So all of a sudden, and it's do or die for the Roosters, really poor performing, like, playing the Storm in Melbourne. This all of a sudden now isn't too bad of a matchup. Would it be a matchup I would trade target? Depends. We need to get some others, but like I would still look at guys like Tupou and that because I think he's just in absolute try-scoring form. So, I guess it's a pro for the resting for your side and for Roosters owners.
I'll be controversial here. The Roosters will win this week. I'm very confident. I thought that they were terrible last week. I thought that they deserved to lose by 80 points last week. They were awful.
I'll be changing my tip to Roosters after seeing this team list. And I guess at this point of the season, you've got to pick at what you think is going to happen. But just on the last comment that you said about the Eels, and I think Eels can get it done again. But I keep not tipping the Warriors this year and keep getting it wrong. So don't listen to me.
You should have just left it then. Look, I am normally like you, though, in Supercoach. When the Roosters come up against the Storm, I don't like to play them. So ordinarily, I had Angus and Tupou bench for this game. But now, even if I had a choice, I'd probably play both. I like Angus to score a try this week. Teddy has a 59 average against the Storm. I reckon he's going to put at least 20 points on that average. I see him as definitely a sneaky VC because he scored terrible last week when he should have scored much better. And the Roosters look short. So I don't think people will get on him as much as what you'd think. And that's really good for someone like Teddy because, as we know, Teddy can get a 150-point game out of anywhere. And if the Roosters win well in this one, it's going to be off the back of him. So I'm actually quietly confident. I wouldn't mind trading in some of these guys as a pod trade-in because normally you're never going to trade in guys playing the Storm in Melbourne, especially a team that's, on the fringe of the top 8 like the Roosters in how they've been performing. I actually think it's a bit of a pod move to do it because not many are going to. I would target this game. I'm not saying it's 100% going to come off. The Roosters could play terrible last week. Melbourne are a well-oiled machine. But there is a decent enough chance that it could come off that way. So that's definitely a risky move, Mikey. But I'm saying it now, the 3 big ones. We're going to get an 80-plus from Teddy at a minimum. Daniel Tupou is going to score at least 1 try, if not 2. And Angus is going over the line. Big calls, I know, but I'm going to wheel it into reality.
Just if you're bringing in someone like Tupou as an owner, the one thing I don't like is Sam Walker's been absolutely a godsend for him. And the fact he's missing, it'd be such a different case if he was playing. I think the last week's match might have been a little bit different with Walker there, but nonetheless, the amount of errors they made was absolutely shocking last week. So, look, nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Like, Tupou's, he's on an absolute try-scoring blitz. So, it's, I guess, as we said, there's positives and negatives for this week. So, I'll take this as a positive. But, man, it's going to be a good week for a punt. If you haven't looked at some of these odds, like even now, I think some of these odds are pretty good if you're just going to go head-to-head matchups.
Look, Tupou's still averaging 64 in the season, and that's a good thing. Like, I think that Sam Walker not being there, his ceiling is limited. I don't think he's going to get 3 kicks to him for 3 tries like Sam Walker can do, but I do think that he's not going to give you a bad score. And at the moment, that's really good as an owner. Not as confident if you're going to buy him, though, that's for sure. So I agree with you there. Are you considering the VC on Teddy at all, just for a big crack?
No, To be honest, this week I feel like doing something crazier. If you have a look at that Saturday 3:00 slot, it's been giving up some big points. I really like KO weeks this week, which we'll get to.
I
But
like that.
with the way
Let's just
I
get to
think
it now. Let's just go now. Canberra
we're,
Tigers,
we're,
go for
we're,
it, mate.
we're talking about it. Yeah, I really, really like him. But now that all these restings have happened, I think it's a poor move for me to VC late. Because, for example, with the way my team's set up, that's why it's important to look at your setup. Just because with the way the matchups are falling this week, if weeks did go 150 plus and I had to loop, all of a sudden I've got to look at sitting guys like probably Jaden Campbell or one of my forwards in Tino, which, Tino and Tapanay's minutes boosted up to 60 minutes last week. Maybe with the Raiders up the top, if Storm lose, they may drop his minutes. But doing that, it's like I don't want to sit those guys out this week. In a week where teams are going to struggle to get numbers, I've got to play those guys. Campbell's up against the Dolphins. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I've got to play him. So because of that reason, I probably won't be out of VC weeks. I probably won't be out of VC Tedesco. I'll probably have to VC before the Roosters play. So it's going to be those, a Lomax or a Carraz kind of top, which is boring, but I want to be able to sit Kane Bradley out to loop. So I think that's important. Which absolutely sucks. Like if I'm feeling ballsy and that VC doesn't work out, maybe I straight see weeks. But that is probably dumb in a cashy. But maybe it could work.
Let me throw some Raiders numbers at you. You mentioned Tapani, third best average historically against the Tigers at 69 points a game. Career high, biggest score ever is 138, and that was against the Tigers. Hudson Young, he has not been scoring tries. I've thought he was going to score for 2 weeks, and he hasn't done it. Man, I know the Tigers are playing better, but in Canberra, Hudson Young has gone 62, 44, 81, 65 his last 4 weeks. He is 100% due, and he hasn't scored since, what did we say, round 14? Like, against the Tigers this week, average of 67, high of 112. I love Hudson Young this week. So if you're going to trade like Eli Katoa out for a second rower, I'd actually go for Hudson Young.
I think the top picker in the second row week is Hudson Young. I think he's going to be scorer. I've thought he would score every week for the past month. So surely I'm just going to keep double down on that in the betting. So, I like that call. I think the Tigers will be a bit deflated after their performance. So surely, this is a target game.
Has been helping them straighten a lot at 7 as well. Like I don't know whether they can go straight back to playing well when Dewey's been at 7 for the last few weeks with them.
Nonetheless, even though they've been playing well, they're still leaking a crap load of points. So, that's all you need for Supercoach. Like, you play all your Raiders in this. I'm not playing Starling. I've got a bit of depth. So, for me, he's one that if he doesn't jag an attacking stack can go quite low. And Owen Paddy's been doing a job there. So, I've got 3 Raiders in this one. And I think this is definitely a target game. That 3 o'clock slot, like I said, has been dishing up some big scores. We fresh off Tom Travojevich's 180 last week.
Well, you mentioned Kyle Week, so I'm going to finish off this game because we've only got 10 minutes, and I'm going to say 127 from Ethan Strange. I'm going to mention him as a big balls pod. He's gone 127 and 142 this year as 2 of his tons. Now, he's also got 31 and 37 points the week before his 127, so he's got some terrible scores in him. But if you want to take a plunge that this is going to be one of his good weeks, mate, he's coming off a 127. It could be huge. So I don't mind that one either. In mid-500s, he's very affordable to swap straight to him. Look, the next one, Dragons and Manly. Tom absolutely destroyed everyone last week. I did play Lehigh Hopolati for his 160, which I was really happy with. I like Lehigh and Tommy this week. I think that Manly will get a bit of a kick on from last week. And the Dragons, to me, are looking a little bit, dishevelled late in the season. It's that day at the pub crawl. You start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, have a chicken schnitzel, have some beers, and then you're feeling good, you look good, and then by 9 o'clock at night, you're dishevelled, your shirt's untucked, you got food all over your shirt, and you're finished. And I sort of feel like that's the Dragons at the moment for this week.
I get what you're saying, but I just can't have faith in Manly. They're so inconsistent. One week you're like, oh yeah, they're back. Then the next week they shit the bed. Realistically, they're
as much as I said what I said, that's a really good call too.
Realistically, though, they are a mathematical chance of making the 8, and depending on by the time it gets to their game, they know if the Roosters wins it, their chances are going to drop a lot because of their for and against. So they would need Roosters to lose to the Storm, and all of a sudden, maybe they need a big performance. But the other thing is it's away from 4 Pines. And that also kind of turns me off. And even though the Dragons, like everything you said about the Dragons is right, but before that 40-0, they were in the games. They were winning ones that you didn't think they would, and they were winning close games. So for me, like, yeah, Tom just scored 187 and goes, okay, yeah, bang, easy VC this week. He's back. To me, they're so inconsistent that to me, that's not enough, a big enough sign. And to me, like at first I thought about it, but I go, no, I don't know if he can back it up yet. Like the Tom of old could, but yeah, it's just this 180. Maybe I might be wrong, and he might end the year 180, 150, 140, and then all of a sudden his average is back up for next year. But one thing I've learned this year is I'm sick of putting faith into Manly because it's really affecting my Supercoach side because I'm just having too much faith in him. Sorry, Manly fans.
That makes total sense because I hate Manly this year for Supercoach too. But if I had the trades there, a Dylan Edwards to Tom, I think would definitely be on for me. And if I didn't have much money, Lehigh Hopper-Hardy just over 500k, I would chase last week's points. I wouldn't expect 160, but I'd hope to get an 80, 90 sort of score out of him as a cheaper sort of guy in that mid-range. So
agree with the first one, but I'd go Walsh over. I think Walsh is the number one pick. Still the same. I know he's off the back of 140s, but he's got the goals. His floor's a lot better. Like I know we're going to get to it in the Broncos game, but
you've done it again. We're here now.
I've segued on accident.
Cowboys. Yeah. Let's go. Reece Walsh, controversial opinion. Another one. Cowboys can beat the Broncos this week. I think it could happen.
100% they can. Like even last week in that 40-point game, the Broncos, there was a lot of things that they did wrong. And if the Knights just asked the opportunities, it could have been a lot closer and the game would have been a hell of a lot closer. But nonetheless, Walsh is playing great footy. He's breaking the line. He's doing everything you want him to do for Supercoach. And for me, even though they're going to Townsville and it is against, Drinky's in good form, the Cowboys are still leaking points too. So there's going to be lots of points in this one. And I'd still have Reece Walsh. If I had a trade, he'd be straight in. I would have probably had him last week. He'd be straight in. But yeah, I agree with what you said. Tommy's number 2 for fullbacks. I would have my trade on fullback this week.
I'd have to stick with Reece Walsh too. But can I just say, Drinkwater's kicking goals again. And I could see Drinky. I still have to gravitate towards Walsh, but Drinky deserves a shout as a captaincy option. I think that was a good captaincy last week. I'm an idiot for taking it off him. And he's still got that ton in him versus the Broncos. He only went 52 against them at the start of the year, but at Townsville, bit of a grudge match. I don't mind him. If you don't have a Walsh, I think you could definitely go with Drinky. The one that I'm going to throw to you is a big balls pod for this one. So, yeah, Braden Burns has got 92, 75, 79, 69, and 60 in his last 5 rounds. That's better than a lot of centre wings at the moment. Coming up against the Broncos, I don't mind that as a big balls pod, really. He's been actually going quite well. And if you think the Cowboys are going to go pretty good like I do, I just can't bring myself, Mikey, to believe in the Broncos fully. They've been good. Walsh will put up numbers, but they are still missing their 2 first-choice halves. And, yeah, just not too sure how it's going to go down. But if you were invested in Drinky, would you consider the C on him in this one?
I think there's a better option, which I'm going to segue again, but there's a better option to the next one, which we'll get to. But he is an option for me. There are better options, and just on Braden Burns, I can't believe how good his numbers are. Like I don't mind it. That left wing for the Cowboys is money, and I think that's a great move. There's a couple pod runs, but I'd be targeting the matchups where you think the other team can absolutely abolish him. Like example, like I think the Raiders could put points on the Tigers. I think that games where you think there's going to be stack of points, like the Dogs could put it on Penrith, and then same with the last 2 games. I think with the Sharks, I can think will absolutely put a stack of points on the Knights, and the same with the Dolphins. Tons will be high scoring. So I'd be targeting.
You've done it again, mate. 3 minutes to go. You've segued straight to the next one, which is good because it's the Sharks and the Knights. The Newcastle Knights look shot, and is at Shark Park. Nico Hines 76 average. More importantly, 166 high. We're both stepped around, there's better options later. Nico Hines is a better option. If he's not the most popular captain, I don't know who will be. He's got a 137-point game 5 weeks ago. This is going to be 100 plus for sure, I reckon. And obviously, our pods are always going to be the 2 wingers, but particularly Mulatalo this week. I'm expecting a 90 plus as well. Real shame that Britton Nicker is not playing. He'll be sitting on my bench cheering because I can't trade him out, but there is a lot to like about the Sharkies this week at Shark Park.
Yeah, keyword there. They're at Shark Park. The Knights have been absolutely awful. Keep conceding a lot of points. I think nothing's going to change. I think they keep persisting with the same kind of lineup in the halves. And Jake Arthur's been making a lot of errors, but that's great if you got a lot of Sharks. Super pod for the round, Kale Iro. He'd probably be my pick.
Ooh, bang.
He's back. Go straight to him. That I think he's the top pick at centre wing this week. Yes, coming back from injury, but he's playing the Knights. I think that's great on the left side. That's also going to be great for Ronnie. I think anyone
Roddy
in that
carved
back
up last
five-
week too.
Yeah, Hiroti, Katal. I think you can take any of them, and they had a bye last week, so they're going to be fresh. And Hines is the best captain option for this week. It'll just be whether or not you end up looping before you get to him. But I said I like the day game. Sunday, 2:00, Shark Park, no brainer. You got trading Sharks.
Dolphins and Titans. Last game. If you were looking at a Hail Mary because you had to do a captaincy in the last one, I do think there's a bit to like here. Like I think that both of these teams might throw it around a bit and we might get some points. Obviously, Jaden Campbell is the obvious one, right? I can see a lot of people going a Hail Mary on Jaden Campbell. And look, it could get it done. He can get to 100 plus pretty quickly with bulk attack.
He's been pretty solid with the scores he's been pumping out without going absolutely massive. Yeah, this is a game where I think you can go massive. The Dolphins do have everything to play for. I think the results that happen beforehand are going to alter how these teams perform, which you think they wouldn't, but they're going to know in this game, they're going to know the evidence, whether or not the Manly have won their game, whether or not the Roosters have dropped the game, and their chances are going to slip fast. There was a big chance that Herbie was going to be named in this one, and if Herbie was named in this one, I'll favour the Dolphins. But in this one, I kind of push towards the Titans, where I'm not sure if there's a way. I think realistically the Knights can win the spoon. So, yeah.
So with 10 seconds to go, we will finish on that for finishing the spoon. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We wanted to wrap this round up in 27 minutes, and we've done it. Good luck this round. We'll be back again next week with another episode. Until then, can't wait to talk footy again with everyone real soon.